recovery since the Great Depression. Terrorism was on the rise around the world, and we'd witnessed a steady assault on our most cherished values. But in 3 short years, we rebuilt our military. We revived the American economy. We secured our border, supported law enforcement, stood for life, liberty, and the Constitution of the United States of America. It's been America first. And America first all starts with the national defense. You know, when we took office, we'd seen years of reckless budget cuts to our national defense when Joe Biden was Vice President of the United States. But President Donald Trump, he actually signed the largest investment in our national defense since the days of Ronald Reagan. And I have to tell you, not just as your Vice President, but as the proud father of a United States Marine and the father-in-law of a United States Navy pilot, I couldn't be more proud to serve alongside a president who has fought every day to give our men and women of our armed forces the resources and the support that they need to defend this nation. We're doing it. We've rebuilt our military. We haven't just stood with those who wear the uniform. We've stood with those who've worn the uniform of the United States. I mean, are there veterans in the audience today? Could you put your hand or your hat in the air? Just give us a chance to say thank you one more time. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your service. I mean, it's amazing to think when we took office, we'd gone through years of scandals at the VA. You all remember here in New Hampshire. When Joe Biden was Vice President, we literally had veterans who were perishing, waiting to receive treatment at VA hospitals. But when President Donald Trump walked into the Oval Office, everything changed. We passed the most sweeping reforms of the VA in 50 years. We fired thousands of VA employees that were not giving our veterans the care that they earned in the uniform of the United States, and Veterans Choice is now available for every veteran in America. So we've stood strong with those who serve, and we've stood strong with those who did serve. And all along the way, President Donald Trump revived our economy with the time-honored principles of freedom, free markets, and free enterprise. And after the slowest recovery since the Great Depression, we created the greatest economy in American history. It's amazing to think. When Joe Biden was Vice President, they tried to tax and spend and bail and regulate their way back to a growing economy. You remember those days. I mean, the American economy recovered in spite of the policies of the Obama-Biden administration. And now, in the midst of a global pandemic, Joe Biden wants to raise taxes by $4 trillion just at a time that America's coming back. President Trump, well, we cut taxes across the board for working families and businesses large and small. We rolled back more federal red tape than any administration in history. We fought for free and fair trade that put America first. We unleashed American energy, and in just 3 short years, 7 million jobs were created by businesses large and small, including 19,000 jobs right here in the Granite State. I'm proud to report to you, under President Trump's policies and leadership, average hourly earnings grew faster in our first 3 years than in all 8 years when Joe Biden was Vice President. And wages rose most rapidly for hard-working, blue-collar Americans. The forgotten men and women of America were forgotten no more. on health care. You all remember the disaster of Obamacare. Remember the big three promises? They said if you like your doctor, you can keep it. That wasn't true. They said if you like your health insurance, you can keep it. That wasn't true. They said health insurance premiums would go down. You know, when we took office, health insurance premiums had actually doubled in the wake of Obamacare. And now Joe Biden wants to double down on the failed policies of Obamacare. He and Kamala Harris actually support adding a public option to Obamacare straight out of Bernie Sanders' agenda. It'll set us on an inevitable path to socialized medicine. But under President Donald Trump, we're going to keep lowering the cost of health insurance without growing the size of government. We've lowered the cost of prescription drugs. We passed right to try. We're going to have the best health care in the world, and we will never be a socialist country. So it's been about jobs, it's been about prosperity, rolling back red tape, giving the American people a health care system built on the principles of free enterprise. And when it comes to economic policy, our international trade here in New Hampshire and all across America is vitally important. The truth is, when we took office, half of our international trade deficit was with communist China. Joe Biden's been a cheerleader for communist China all along the way. And closer to home, in the decades that followed the passage of NAFTA, remember, Democrats always used to like to talk about everything that was wrong with NAFTA. But Joe Biden never lifted a finger to reform NAFTA, as literally thousands of factories closed across the country, and those jobs were shipped south of the border and overseas. It's amazing to think. After all those empty promises and all those failed policies, President Trump stepped into the Oval Office. We put China on notice. We said the era of economic surrender is over. We imposed tariffs on China, and we'll keep standing strong on China until they open their markets to American goods and protect the private property rights of American enterprise. And on NAFTA, the guy that wrote The Art of the Deal got America a great deal. NAFTA is gone. The USMCA is now the law of the land. And energy is a critical part. It's a critical part of family budgets and business budgets and a growing economy. You all in New Hampshire deserve to know. Joe Biden and the radical left want to crush American energy under a $2 trillion version of the Green New Deal. It would literally raise the cost of electricity for every household and every business in New Hampshire. I mean, it's incredible when you think about it. I mean, President Trump actually had to remind Joe Biden in that last presidential debate that he supported the Green New Deal. But I got to tell you, there ain't much difference between AOC's Green New Deal and Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's Green New Deal. And that's just how USA Today identified it. I mean, the truth is Joe Biden is talking about mandates out of Washington, D.C. that would stifle American jobs and economy. He said he wants to abolish fossil fuels in this country. Under President Donald Trump, we've unleashed American energy. And under the policies of this president, we've developed the vast natural resources of this nation, and we're now a net exporter of energy for the first time in 70 years. Now, when Joe Biden was vice president, you all might remember, America actually lost 200,000 manufacturing jobs. You remember the last president? That summertime in 2016? I heard he's in Philadelphia today, but he probably won't bring this up. So I will. The last president actually said that those manufacturing jobs in America were never coming back. 200,000 were gone for good, right? I mean, I'm from out in the heartland, and these people like calling our neck of the woods the Rust Belt, and there was a lot of rust on the belt when they were in charge. Right? I mean, remember Barack Obama said, "What magic wand do you have?" Well, we didn't need a magic wand. We just needed President Donald Trump in the White House. 500,000 manufacturing jobs created in just 3 years, including 3,000 right here in New Hampshire. I mean, it's just incredible when you think about it, the progress that we've made. And this president's been a champion all along the way of American jobs and American workers. And as I stand before you today, men and women, we have a choice to make. Make truthfully. In this election, come November 3rd, it's going to be a choice between a Trump recovery and a Biden depression. I mean, just yesterday, a nonpartisan study came out that said under Joe Biden's economic policies, America would lose 5 million jobs. And the average household income in America in the coming years would drop by $6,500 a year. It's no real surprise when you're going to raise taxes by $4 trillion, where you're going to drop a $2 trillion version of the Green New Deal on top of the American economy, when you're talking about driving out and abolishing American energy and going back to economic surrender. It's no surprise. I mean, in every day between now and Election Day, you got to ask yourself, your neighbors and your friends at worship and at work, I mean, who do you really think is going to bring this economy all the way back? Is it a proven job creator that put timeless free market principles into practice and saw 7 million jobs created, or a career politician who spent 47 years in Washington raising taxes, stifling our economy under an avalanche of regulation and economic surrender? So men and women of New Hampshire, for our families, for our jobs, for our economic freedom, and the American comeback, we need 4 more years of President Donald Trump in the White House. So it's been about security. It's been about prosperity. We fought for American energy and American workers. And every step of the way, President Donald Trump has stood for the rule of law. I'm proud to report to you that as I stand here today, this president's appointed more than 200 conservatives to our federal courts at every level. And they are all men and women who will uphold the God-given liberties enshrined in our Constitution, like the freedom of religion, the freedom of speech, and the Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms. And I'll tell you what, we'll always defend the freedom of speech and the freedom of the press. But at a time when big tech is actually trying to censor what Americans read or see or say, we're going to take a stand. You all might have seen yesterday the Justice Department launched an antitrust lawsuit against Google. While big tech is trying to protect Joe Biden, President Donald Trump and I will always fight to protect your freedom of speech. We're not going to let big tech block the truth, not now, not ever. When we think of the rule of law, we think of last month. We paused as a nation to rightly honor the life and service of the late Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. But when the memorials were over, President Trump fulfilled his constitutional duty, and he nominated a remarkable, brilliant, principled, conservative woman who loves the Constitution to the Supreme Court of the United States. He nominated Judge Amy Coney Barrett. Isn't she great? Now, the President and I are calling on Democrats to give Judge Barrett a respectful and dignified confirmation. But we have reason to be concerned. And you all remember a couple years ago, during her last confirmation to the Court of Appeals, the leading Democrat on the Judiciary Committee actually criticized Judge Barrett's Catholic faith. She said it was a concern, saying, and I quote, "The dogma lives loudly within you." And Hollywood elites have already begun to criticize Judge Barrett's faith. Well, I got news for the Democrats and their friends in Hollywood. That dogma lives loudly in me. That dogma lives loudly in you. And the freedom to live, to work, to worship according to the dictates of our faith lives loudly in the Constitution of the United States of America. That's who we are. It's our freedom. So the Senate's got a job to do. And after they discharge their duty this week and early next, to advise and consent, and I'll make you a prediction. Judge Amy Coney Barrett is going to be Justice Amy Coney Barrett. We're going to fill that seat on the Supreme Court of the United States. Now, while we're talking about Supreme Court, people here in this freedom-loving state deserve to know. After 150 years, with 9 justices on the Supreme Court of the United States, leading Democrats in Washington are actually talking about packing the court. Adding seats to the court so they can appoint liberal activist judges to drive their agenda from the judicial branch. I mean, last Thursday night, Joe Biden said in his town hall that he's, quote, open to considering packing the court. Kamala Harris said in the primary she was, quote, absolutely open. And when I asked her during the vice presidential debate what the answer was, she refused to give me a straight answer. Now Joe Biden is telling the American people that he'll tell us what he's going to do after Judge Barrett is confirmed next week, even though millions of Americans are voting right now. I mean, come on, man. The American people deserve a straight answer. When you're running for the highest office in the land, you got to tell America whether you respect the highest court in the land. Am I right? I mean, come on. You know, I was born in the morning, but not yesterday morning. We all know the answer. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris aren't answering the question because we already know the answer. Joe Biden, Democratic Party, and the radical left are going to pack the court with liberal activist judges if they win this election. But we're not going to let it happen. We're going to re-elect a Republican majority in the Senate, and we're going to re-elect President Donald Trump for 4 more years. The stakes are just that high. Men and women, packing the court like these Democrats are planning to do, that'd be the greatest power grab in American history. We've got to talk to our neighbors and friends about it and about the states. I mean, it's just one more reason why right after you re-elect President Donald Trump, you've got to send Corky Messner to the United States Senate. Corky Messner will stand for the Constitution, the rule of law, and independent judiciary. So we've stood for the rule of law. And every single day, as I've served alongside this president, I've seen it. President Donald Trump has stood with the men and women who serve on the thin blue line of law enforcement, and we always will. You know, the President and I know what you know. That is, men and women who put on the uniform of law enforcement are the best people in this country. And every day they put on that uniform and strap on a sidearm. They walk out the door, kiss their families goodbye. They count our lives more important than their own. And those who serve in law enforcement deserve the respect of every American every single day. Would you all mind showing these police officers who are with us today just how much we appreciate the job they do when they protect and serve our families every day? Thank you for that. You know, President Trump and I will always support the right of peaceful protest enshrined in the Constitution. But rioting and looting is not peaceful protest. Burning businesses is not free speech. I mean, for months, all Joe Biden and his running mate talked about was peaceful protesters, remember? Literally, as we saw businesses in our major cities burned to the ground. I was in Minneapolis just a few weeks ago, standing at the ruins of Flora Westbrook's salon. Flora is a wonderful African-American business owner. Started that salon in Minneapolis 35 years ago. It became a centerpiece of the community. And she told me the story about just days after the killing of George Floyd, how she saw the violent protesters come closer and closer and closer to her business until the night they burned her out. Men and women, I'm going to tell you. I told Flora that day we're going to rebuild. We're going to rebuild bigger and better than ever before, and we're going to have law and order for her and for every American in every city of every race and creed and color. So help us God. I mean, the truth is, Joe Biden would double down on the policies that are leading to violence in our major cities. When you start to erode support for those who protect and serve our families, you just embolden those who would do violence to those we love and to our community. Now, Joe Biden explains it all by saying that America is, in his words, systemically racist. And he and his running mate repeatedly say that police officers have a, quote, implicit bias against minorities. When he was asked if he'd support cutting funding for law enforcement, Joe Biden said, yes, absolutely. And his running mate Kamala Harris actually praised the mayor of Los Angeles for cutting $150 million out of the budget of the LAPD. Well, let me make you a promise. Under President Donald Trump, we're not going to defund the police. Not now, not ever. We're going to back the blue for 4 more years. I mean, the President and I know what you all know. We don't have to choose between supporting law enforcement and supporting our African-American neighbors and friends and minorities and everyone that lives in our cities. I mean, I couldn't be more proud to be a vice president to a president who supported funding for the hiring of 4,000 new police officers. When violence broke out this summer, we literally surged federal officials in Operation Legend to every major city in the country, and we've arrested nearly 3,000 violent offenders already, restoring peace to our streets. But at the same time, in that same period of time, because of this president's policies, we saw the lowest unemployment ever recorded for African Americans. We created more than 8,000 opportunity zones for inner-city families. We signed historically black colleges and universities, their largest budgets ever, and made them permanent. And we have fought for educational choice for every family in every city in America. So I promise you, we're going to keep supporting law enforcement. We're going to keep supporting our African-American neighbors with more jobs, more opportunities, better education, more public safety, and we're going to do it all for 4 more years. So we've stood for the rule of law, stood with those who defend our families, at home and abroad. And when it comes to values, I couldn't be more proud to serve alongside a president who has stood for the religious freedom of every American of every faith every single day. President Donald Trump is the greatest champion of people of faith in America in my lifetime. And I couldn't be more proud to serve alongside a president who stands without apology for the sanctity of human life. You know, you all deserve to know that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris actually support taxpayer funding of abortion, all the way up to the moment of birth. They're calling for historic increases to Planned Parenthood of America. And they want to restore funding to promote abortion around the world. But I promise you, President Donald Trump is the most pro-life president in American history, and we're going to stand for the right to life for 4 more years. So in our first 3 years, amazing to think what we all accomplished. We rebuilt our military. We revived our economy. We stood for law and order, liberties, and life. And that's why. That's why we need to not only reelect President Donald Trump for 4 more years, not only send Cory Mesner to the United States Senate, but we need to send Matt Mowers to a new Republican majority in the United States House of Representatives and retire Nancy Pelosi once and for all. I mean, when you look at what we were able to accomplish when we had Republican majorities in the House and the Senate, men and women in New Hampshire, you know the job before us. I mean, it's amazing to think in 3 short years, President in the White House, with our allies in the House and the Senate. Only one way you can describe it. In 3 short years, we made America great again. Right? We just did. And then 2020 hit. And the coronavirus struck from China. But I can tell you firsthand, before the first documented case of community spread in the United States, President Trump did what no American president had ever done before. He suspended all travel from China, the 2nd largest economy in the world. Now, Joe Biden said that was xenophobic. He said it was hysterical. He actually wrote a few days earlier that banning travel from anywhere in the world would actually make things worse. But I can tell you, Joe Biden was wrong. As head of the White House Coronavirus Task Force, I can attest firsthand. President Trump's decision to suspend all travel from China saved untold American lives, and it bought us invaluable time to stand up the greatest national mobilization since World War II. I mean, we reinvented testing. We saw to the manufacture and the distribution of billions of supplies. We've created new medicines called therapeutics that are literally saving lives every single day. And we're just a matter of weeks away from having the first safe and effective coronavirus vaccine and tens of millions of doses available for the American people. That's what leadership looks like. In fact, the President just announced last week a plan with CVS and Walgreens to deliver and administer vaccines to our seniors in nursing homes for free all across America the moment it becomes available. I mean, with the incredible cooperation of the people of this state and this country, putting the health of your families and your neighbors first, with our incredible doctors and nurses, healthcare providers, and first responders, with the partnership at the state level and the leadership of this president, we're protecting the vulnerable. We're giving the American people everything we need to make sure that anyone impacted by the coronavirus has the support to get the health care that we want any member of our family to have. And we're saving lives. And where Joe Biden is talking about shutting down the economy, we're opening up America again. I mean, in just the last 5 months, after losing 22 million jobs at the height of this pandemic, with that strong foundation that President Trump poured, with your support in our first 3 years, with the unprecedented relief and recovery efforts, $4 trillion made available to families and businesses, we've already seen 11.5 million Americans go back to work, including 61,000 people right here in New Hampshire. We're opening up America, and we're opening up America's schools. I'm proud to report to you Mrs. Pence is already back in the classroom, teaching at a little Christian school just outside our nation's capital. So we're going to keep those supplies rolling until the day comes that we have that vaccine and we can put this coronavirus in the past. And for all the progress we've made, it's a testament to our president's leadership, an incredible free enterprise system, great research companies, great doctors and nurses. Let me also say it is a testament here in New Hampshire to the strong and compassionate leadership of Governor Chris Sununu. So we're moving our country forward. We've gone through a time of testing. But in just 13 days, we're going to come to a time for choosing, which is why I'm out here and you're out here in the drizzle today in New Hampshire. You know, when you look at their agenda, higher taxes, open borders, socialized medicine, a Green New Deal, defunding the police, packing the courts, it's clear. Joe Biden would be nothing more than a Trojan horse for the radical left. Now, Joe Biden says that democracy is on the ballot. Well, I think our economic recovery is on the ballot. I think law and order are on the ballot. But I think there are things much more foundational to our nation. I think in this election it's not so much whether we're going to end up more Republican or more Democrat, more conservative or more liberal, more red or more blue. New Hampshire, the choice in this election, I believe, is whether America remains America. It's going to be a choice of whether we build a future on all the timeless principles enshrined in that Constitution. Benjamin Franklin walked out of Independence Hall and he was asked in 1787 what form of government they'd created. He said, a republic, if you can keep it. Men and women, I think this is a choice such a time as this. It's a choice about whether we're going to keep the republic. It's whether we're going to chart a course based on freedom, limited government, the ideals and the liberties and the principles enshrined in our founding document, or whether we're going to let Joe Biden and the Democratic Party take us on a path of American decline. So let me say, for our freedom, for our republic, for all the ideals that have always made America great, we need to decide right here and right now that Joe Biden will never be president of the United States. We're going to re-elect President Donald Trump for 4 more years. And with 4 more years, as the President says, we're going to accomplish so much for this country. With 4 more years, we'll distribute a vaccine and we'll defeat the virus. 4 more years, we'll maintain America's unrivaled military might and ensure peace through American strength. With 4 more years, we'll make America into the manufacturing superpower of the world and end reliance on China once and for all. We'll uphold religious liberty, freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms. We'll hire more police. We will ban sanctuary cities. We will stop the indoctrination of our students and restore patriotic education in our schools. And as President Trump said at Mount Rushmore, we'll teach our children to love our country, honor our history, and always respect our great American flag. And we'll live by those timeless words of our national motto. Your motto is live free or die. Our motto is all of us is in God we trust. Now, I got to tell you, men and women in New Hampshire, I'm just very grateful you came out on a soggy day to see your vice president. I'm really very honored. I have to tell you, it's the greatest honor of my life to be your vice president, and I thank you for that great honor and for your support. You know, I actually didn't know the president very well before he called me 4 years ago and asked me to join this ticket. But we've gotten to be very close. Some people think we're a little bit different. But I got to tell you, I've seen this president when all the cameras are off, when all the bright lights are off. And I can tell you firsthand, having served shoulder to shoulder with him over these last 4 years, there has never been a day that President Donald Trump, against unprecedented opposition and attacks, there has never been a day President Donald Trump hasn't gotten up and fought to keep the promises that he made to the people of New Hampshire. Now it's our turn to fight for him. It's on, New Hampshire. It's on. So before I get back on that plane and head to Ohio, I got a couple things to ask of you over the next 13 days. First thing I need you to do is vote, New Hampshire. Vote to re-elect President Donald Trump to the White House. You know, I heard the last day to register before the election here in Portsmouth is going to be next Wednesday, October 28th. So if you're not registered yet, go to the city clerk's office on 1 Junkins Avenue. Normal Wednesday hours, 8 a.m. to 4:30. There's still time. If you're not registered to vote, get registered to vote today. In fact, I checked out on the way here. You can go and request an absentee ballot until Election Day. You can mail it in and drop it off at the very same location. Mrs. Pence and I are going to do that in the Hoosier State in just a couple days. So we need you to vote, New Hampshire. And remember, friends don't let friends vote alone. Grab a family member, grab a neighbor, grab a coworker, and vote to re-elect President Donald Trump. Okay, so after you vote with a friend, second thing I want to ask you to do is just go tell somebody. Okay? I mean, I got to tell you, 4 years ago, I never doubted that this president was going to win in that election, and I don't doubt it today. Because I know the American people. Then and now we're talking to each other. I mean, the people of this state knew we could be strong again. You knew we could be prosperous again. You were talking to your neighbors and friends about those timeless ideals of this country. And you saw in Donald Trump not just the vision, but the leadership qualities to make America great again. And so go tell your neighbors and friends, say, you know, I went out to the airport the other day, it was raining, and Mike came out. He ran every bit as fast as he could. And then he talked to us like for an hour out in the rain. Just about everything we've done, about the choice that we face, and about everything we can do for America with 4 more years of President Donald Trump in the White House. You got to go tell them. So after you vote with a friend, after you tell your neighbors and friends every day for the next 13 days, I encourage you to do one more thing. You know, traveling all across this country over the last 4 years, I'm convinced of 2 things in this live free or die state. That this is a freedom-loving nation. And this is a nation of faith. I mean, I had a little girl in that vice presidential debate turn in a question at the end where she said she was watching TV and it just looked like there was so much that divides us. But after traveling across America, I'm more convinced than ever that there will always be more that unites us in these United States of America than will ever divide us. And chief among those things is a faith in the American people. And so if you're among those who on occasion bend the knee or bow the head over the next 13 days, I encourage you to do that too. And when you pray with confidence. Those ancient words that if his people who are called by his name will humble themselves and pray and turn, that he'll do like he's always done in the long and storied history of this state and nation. He'll hear from heaven, and he'll heal this land. This one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So pray for America. Pray for all of the American people. It'll make a difference, New Hampshire. So thanks again for coming out today. You all are just, you're like the greatest. I can't wait to get on the phone and tell them. I said, your wingman was in New Hampshire, and we were all out there getting rained on, and you all are just fantastic. Give yourselves a round of applause for coming out on a rainy day. Thank you so much. I leave here today with renewed confidence that if all of us do all that we need to do between now and November 3rd, we're going to have a great victory all across New Hampshire and all across America. Because as this president often says, we're one movement, one people, one family, and one glorious nation under God. And I just know that together we're going to make New Hampshire and America stronger than ever before. We're going to make New Hampshire and America more prosperous than you could possibly imagine. We're going to make New Hampshire and America more united than ever before. And with Cory Messner in a renewed Republican majority in the United States Senate, with Matt Mowers in a new Republican majority in the House of Representatives, with Governor Chris Sununu back at the State House, and with President Donald Trump in the White House for 4 more years, and with God's help, we will make America great again. Again. Thank you all very much. God bless you. God bless America. Let's go get it done, New Hampshire.